Do we decide we're going to read announcements? Yeah, I think we probably should with what's on there.
Yeah, I know I at least want to read mine.
So I'll grab the first one and then look for a volunteer to read number 2. So very happy for Zamir and Alan. Yay! On discretionary bonuses. Zamir for the work on the container security demo setup in Azure, which we don't officially support yet. And also Alan for your contributions on front-end issues at the time when we were overloading this area. So really appreciate it. It's good stuff. Somebody want to read number 2?
I can pick it.
Go for it.
So it's from Tiago again. He's not present. He says we have our first backend contributor finish a thread insights issue, and then the issue is linked in the announcement.
Yeah, we've really seen a lot of an uptick in community contributors for stuff we're working on, which is great. I think 6 months ago we had 0, and now we have, I think, 4, something like that.
5 now, actually.
He's saying 5. That's great. Lindsay, you got number 3?
And on that note, I want to give a big applause to Alexander for a discretionary bonus around collaboration, which is also centered around helping with various community contributors, both testing a really complicated authentication flow with another engineer and being the buddy for one of our, I think maybe our 3rd community contributor. I think you actually helped a couple now since then. So yay, Alexander! And on that note, because Alexander's definitely paying attention, I think he should go ahead and take the next agenda item from Tiago since he's not present.
Yes, and this is very exciting news. There's a new, easier way to nominate someone for discretionary bonuses. In Slack, simply type in /nominate and the person's name, and it will nominate them. So anytime you see someone going above and beyond, please give them a shout out.
And up until now, it's been mostly managers and PMs and non-individual contributors doing the nominations. So I want to encourage everybody to, reach out and recognize somebody who's really done a lot in our team. Jonathan, you want to read the next one?
I have to find my mute button first. Planning improvement. Do not rely on engineering managers for refinement. Engineers assign the issues to another team member to +1 the refinement before moving to a workflow ready for development. Should streamline the workflow a little bit.
So this is an effort in trying not to refine in a silo, making sure that everyone agrees, or at least there's some amount of agreement on the refinement before we move forward. So thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, Jonathan, I think you get to pick who does the next one.
Alan, go for it.
Okay. What's happening with the iteration feature in GitLab? That's what Tiago is asking. It seems like we're looking to release more often. An example, iterate quicker, but it's related to this new feature. According to the confusion, adding to the confusion, the term iteration in GitLab has historically meant milestone.
Has anyone else noticed the iteration product feature next to the milestone on issues now?
I've seen it. I didn't know what it did.
Yeah, what does it do? I'm actually not familiar myself either.
Yep, +1 on the confusion as well.
So I looked into this a tiny bit because, I think I've mentioned this to most folks on the team that in the past I've been used to planning for much shorter sprints, so like a 2-week iteration versus a month-long. And I think it allows people to break a milestone from a month down into whether it be 2 2-week iterations or 4 1-week iterations, and have ways to sort of bucket and track issues in that sense. And I've brought this up in the past, the challenge becomes how we support things like release posts and release announcements, since everything does still revolve around that month-long milestone. But I think this is a way to support other groups as well who are interested in having smaller breakdowns than just a release milestone. I don't know, Matt, do you have any thoughts on that? Have you looked into this from a PM perspective or have any additional insights?
It confused me as well. It seems like it's a kind of redundant, lightweight version of milestones. Not really sure because it doesn't look like it's on an epic either. I thought maybe it would be a cool way to group epics and issues together, but yeah, it just, if anybody looks at the feature, it's pretty much you get to set a date range and then you can tag or whatever you want to call it on the issue level, just add something to an iteration, and that's pretty much it. So it is kind of nice that it's a collected board just for things that you've tagged with it, but otherwise, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know, David, do you have, I'm going to pick on you since you're here. Do you have any insight into like what it is or where it's going?
I don't. The only thought I have, and I think I shared this with Wayne last week when we synced up, that like the company, or and specifically Sid, has talked about moving us to releasing bi-weekly. And I wasn't sure if this was like the step towards that, but again, like your comment about milestones, like you would just make the milestone 2 weeks and you wouldn't need the iteration then. So I'm not 100% sure how it all ties together.
So it doesn't sound like we plan on using it right away.
Well, I mean, everything in
within this group.
Yeah, I say everything in our group, we can make the right decisions for us. And it sounds like what you're saying, Lindsay, is it's not the right decision for us. And I may agree with that.
I personally plan on exploring it more to understand it, because again, I feel like planning for a month-long milestone versus, you know, ongoing planning, either more Kanban or shorter, you know, 2-week cycles, has its advantages.
Yeah, Lindsay, I was going to say, I think you're right in that it would be intended for if you wanted to set milestones like on a quarterly basis or for like a full project duration. The iterations give you the flexibility to do that, but to your point, like GitLab's not set up that way. We're all working in the same 1 month milestone. So I think it's an interesting feature potentially for other orgs that are set up a little bit differently, but unless we get rid of the milestones the way they are now, I don't think there's a whole lot we can do with them.
And you kind of hit on something though that might add value if we really wanted to do it this way. You could have 2 iterations per milestone, saying that new development wraps up in that first 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks we're bug fixing or whatever comes up either with the new features or critical bugs that have come in. So it is a way to kind of stagger that and make it a little bit more explicit, whereas today, I feel like we're not always explicit. I know there's a cutoff when everything has to be through the maintainers, but there's times where I feel like someone's like calling up the maintainer being like, can you pretty please look at this right now? Right, so it kind of forces it a little bit to be a little bit more rigid.
That's exactly what I was saying. You put it so much better.
That's why I'm in product. I can make words sound clear.
And good at PowerPoints too.
I am. I'm an amazing slide maker. If I have one skill, that's the one I need to advertise.
There you go. Cool. Glad Tiago brought this up. Good discussion on this one. So the commit conference is this week, Wednesday, Thursday. If you haven't registered, suggest you do. Check out the agenda to see if you want to attend. You know, as we've talked about a couple times, there's a talk by Philippe and I and a user, Nico, that is the 14th most registered for talk currently. It's kind of neat. Nico actually somehow found that statistic. And thanks again to Zamir for getting the environment working. And David, you're doing a talk as well, is that right?
Yeah, Sam and I are talking on fuzz testing. And if you've not been following the acquisitions, how it's going, it is a nice update on that and why we are doing fuzz testing.
So it's free. Encourage your friends and contacts to attend if they're interested, and do so yourself as well. It's all recorded sessions, but broadcast at a certain time, and then you can ask the presenters via chat to discuss. And we have an open house that a number of us are sitting in on. Basically, as many users have any questions, will be available, and the recordings will be available for playing after the fact. I think not like next week, but sometime in the future. So if you can't make it, you know, feel free to look for the recordings as well for the things you're interested in.
And Zamir's the only person we haven't picked on yet, so I'm not even going to let him volunteer. I think Zamir needs to say the last one.
Sure. So the first thread management community office hour is going to happen this Friday, and there is a link on how to add that on the Google Calendar.
I think it's at a good time for APAC and EMEA, not for America's time zone. I don't know when the next. You know, Lindsay, do you happen to know when the next one is?
We don't have it scheduled yet. We will be scheduling it at America-friendly time, though. So it'll probably be sometime in about a month time frame in the last part of September.
Cool.
That's all we got. Anything else we want to discuss? It's everything people put down on the list beforehand. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, friends.